2024. OMG. It's a new year, new things. A lot of new stuff everywhere, I will tell you that. But I am so excited to be back here, to be, doing my videos. I felt like I really needed that break. So I thank you so much for giving me the space and the time to take this break. I always try to take one during Christmas / into the new year because it gives me a chance to kind of relax, reflect my entire year. This is a really great time to sit down, grab a book, whatever you have. You can grab your phone. You want to kind of jot things down and figure out where are we going with this and what do we want for the new year. So let's get into it. I think the number one thing that we're going to talk about in terms of goals is, where do you see your career a year from now? Where do you see yourself doing a year from now? You want to set yourself some goals that are, realistic. And I say this with big emphasis because I used to be the girl that would make goals and be like, I have no headshots, I barely have a package, and I don't have an agent. But by the end of the year, I'm gonna book a series regular. What? Where is that coming from? You don't have your headshots, you have no demo, you haven't even applied to agencies. How in the hell are you gonna book a series regular? I mean, by all means, I've heard these things do happen, but this is it's like winning a lottery when these things happen. It is very, very rare. You want to be realistic when you make your goals. Underline that, punctuate it, do whatever you gotta do. Think to yourself when it comes to your career, what do you wanna do this year? You wanna kind of put your goals into number 1, that's the most important. Number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 10th one would be your could maybe go into the next year, but it's there. If it just so happens that you get to the 10th one, great. This is another thing. Don't set yourself 10 goals. I just said 10 numbers, but I don't actually mean 10 goals. That's a lot. When you're setting these goals, honeys, you want to give yourself a solid amount of time for things to happen. For example, headshots. Don't sit here and say, well, by the end of the month, I'm going to have my headshots. Well, today is what, January 18th? Today's January 18th. The month is ending in 10 days. I don't know where you're gonna get your headshots in a week and a half, but that's a little bit ballsy. If you're looking to get headshots, maybe set that by end of February or by March, you'll have your headshots done. This gives you a length of time that you're not rushing yourself to figure things out. It's a little bit difficult because this industry is so unpredictable and so up and down. It's sometimes hard to gauge the things of time length. Headshots, headshots you can give yourself a timeline because, you're booking an appointment, you know for a fact it's gonna happen. But to sit here and be like, I'm booking something in the next month, sure, it could happen, maybe, but it's a lot of pressure on you to book something in a month. I think you should maybe set yourself more of a goal of, I want to have 4 auditions next month. That's a normal goal. That's a healthy goal. That's something 100% achievable because February is a busy month, so is March. These are things that can easily happen to you if you have an agent or if you're self-represented and you can find yourself your own 4 auditions. That's even good as well. Another way to set your career goals when it comes to the acting really well is reevaluate your last year. What changes happened to you? What are things that you learned? What are things that you feel like you want to carry on to this year? What are things that you want to let go of from last year that you've realized that you don't really need on this year? Is there anything you want to improve on? Is there takeaways you want to take from the year? For me, for example, some things that I learned is that I definitely want to get into something career-wise that it's not serving because that doesn't fulfill me, obviously, but something where I'm making money, I'm financially stable and I'm happy with it, but it has the flexibility for me that when the acting's not necessarily rolling and it's not happening, I'm not going back to serving wine for people. That's not something I want to do. So that's something I learned last year, that I really depended on being acting number 1, where 3/4 of the year there was no audition. So it was absolutely impossible for acting to be number 1 for us, or for me, for example. What I like to do for myself as well, if you were in class last year, or even if you did auditions, some of them last year, I find it interesting to rewatch your old work for the past year. I think it's interesting to see yourself from the beginning of the year, so January 2023, and then seeing yourself now, January 2024, and just seeing the growth that you went through the entire 12 months, because this shows you how much you've done and how much you've progressed and the mistakes that you've learned, and maybe there's still some things you do have to learn. But I like doing this in the beginning of the year because it gives me a bit of a boost. It makes me kind of see myself in a different light, where I say, Anna, even though, let's say you didn't book anything, or you know what, even though you didn't audition for a lot, or even though there was massive strikes, you still did some major progress in, for example, your class. You did a lot of great scenes in class, and you tackled on some very hard topics in class and hard characters, and you did really good job. So this, to me, it's a big confidence boost, and I really find that it helps my mental health to see this, because you can get really lost in this industry. You can get very lost in your self-esteem and self-confidence. I have those days as well. We all do. It's very normal. But you need to know what things get you back up on the horse, what helps you bring the self-confidence and the self-esteem back. And watching old work, either be old auditions throughout the year, and then old class work, or just, you know, maybe you videotaped yourself doing a couple of scenes or monologues, whatever. These are great ways for you to kind of see your progress and see your year. And it honestly, it truly puts a smile on my face, and it warms my heart. And I think you will do the same thing for you. Another thing you want to look at in your goals when you're setting them this year is your relationships. If you had an agent, for example, last year, and you have trickled into this year having the same agent, reevaluate your relationship with your agent. How was it the whole year? How were things? Do you feel that there's some improvements you can do? Do you feel that there's maybe changes that need to happen? Do you feel that maybe actually it's time for a new agent? Or do you feel that your relationship with your agent is getting better? These are things to look at, because again, your agent is obviously your key into getting the auditions and booking and blah, blah, blah. And I think it's important to look at that, but not just your relationships with your agent, but you want to look at your relationships with, for example, with your acting friends. These are really important things to look at, because you want to start off your year on like a clean, positive slate, and to know the relationships that you had last year that continued onto this year. What can you do with these relationships? Do they fulfill you anymore? Do they help you? Maybe they bring you down. Then that's fine. You got to get rid of those relationships that bring you down. I chose to let go of acting friends that I had that were from a studio that I felt no longer fulfilled me. I felt that whenever we got together to chat and, you know, have wine nights and whatever, it became a competition. It became Friday night having wine and talk, one-upping each other of auditions, and one-upping each other of who's booking what, and one-upping each other about agents and this and that. And I didn't realize it at the time, but towards the end of the year, coming into the new year, I was like, okay, I actually don't feel good when I hang out with these people, because I come home more jealous and frustrated with my own life than being like, wow, I'm actually really happy and positive for my friends, because the whole entire room is just filled with that low self-esteem, jealous sort of energy, and you obviously feed off of it because you're in a room of 10 people and they're all in the same boat as you, and you're like, ugh. These are things that they're not going to help you. They're not going to fulfill you. And the minute I disengaged from those relationships, I felt a massive weight off my shoulders. It was a tough transition, I will not lie, and it was a little bit difficult and awkward and uncomfortable and blah, 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 blah. But down the line, I felt so much better. And now it's interesting seeing some of those people. Some of them are still stuck in that state 2-3 years later. Some have moved on like I have, and some fully left the industry. So it's interesting to see that, but it does make you feel a lot better. So relationships is really important, because you don't want to continue, if you have, let's say, a bad relationship with your agent, you don't want to continue into the new year with the same thing, because guess what? Nothing's going to change. So either you have a meeting with your agent, you have a conversation with yourself, or you finally write that email to them and saying, hey, I'm out, I'm done, I don't want to do this. Maybe you've had countless meetings with them already, and it's just like, you're not listening, it's not working, this is not happening. So there's different ways that you can maneuver your relationships and see what still works and what doesn't work. We've had an interesting year, I will tell you that. This last year, 2023, has been very up and down, as we can see with all the strikes that we were having, and I'm talking about the American strikes, and also with our Canadian still ongoing union strike about the lockout with the commercials. It has been extremely difficult, and we've seen a very big up and down. Most of us did not work for pretty much the entire year. I am one of them, and this was a part for me where I sat and I thought, okay, like, what else can I be doing that I'm not so dependent on the acting? One thing that I do want to say is that what I realized and I learned in 2023 when it comes to acting is that we're moving towards a time, I think, in this industry where the celebrities that make it to Hollywood is like 2%. If you are one of them that makes it, that's great. That's awesome. Kudos to you. That's good. But the reality is a lot of us are not in that 2% celebrity. And to get there, it's It's not easy, and it's like a 1 in a million chance, I'm gonna be honest. But that isn't the end goal if you want to be an artist, to get into the celebrity status, yada yada blah blah. If your goal is to be an artist and to make a living out of it, that's great. That's what mine is. So welcome to the same boat that I'm in as well. What I do want to say is that I do find that last year, I really depended on the acting. I kind of was like, no, the acting's going to be number one, and then whatever I have other job on the side is going to be my number two, is what I'm trying to say. But I think what I've learned this year is that you got to switch it around. You got to make that acting more of like a number two thing, and then your income would be a number one. Because for example, you could have booked a great show, done so well, and then look, we had strikes. And then for almost 8 months of the year, no money was coming in. Nobody was booking anything. So where did your check come in? Where did your rent come? Where did your food come? Like, where did you make your money off on the side? So I think there's something that you need on the side that is easily for you to fall back on, that when things like this happen, or not even having anything to do with the strike, all of a sudden you are on a strike, like you can't book anything for, let's say, a year. You have something that you can go back on, because money's gonna run out, it's not gonna be there forever, so you wanna figure that out. So that's my number one thing that I want you this year to think about. What is something else that you have passion for, that will make you happy, that you can do on the side, that will still fulfill you, that when the acting's not happening, you have that other thing to be doing as well. The other thing is that, let me tell you, the industry is gonna be big this year. It's already kind of started here in Toronto, I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be a really crazy year. I think there's gonna be a lot of things filming that haven't gotten a chance to film because of the strikes, and a lot of new content that's gonna be coming out at the same time. So it's almost like double the work is gonna be coming in through this year. So with that being said, I think we need to put on our big pants and kind of get ready for a little bit of a roller coaster, get our head back on our shoulders. You know, we had some time to relax, we had some time to kind of figure our things out, and now it's time to really get into the grind and into work. So get ready for a big year. I don't want you to feel that because it's a big year and the industry is coming back into it and there's a lot auditioning, blah, blah, blah. I don't want you to feel that that means you have to do the auditions and you have to do the acting and you have to get your headshots. Maybe you're exhausted from last year, and maybe you truly, like, you just don't have the mental capacity to be hustling this year, and that is okay. I'm gonna say it again for everybody and for all the people in the back. It is okay if you don't wanna hustle this year. This could be maybe your break year, and that's totally fine. Take a break, truly take the break. You're not gonna miss anything. This industry will never go away. We may go on a pause because of a strike, but we will come back. Why? Because people can't live without TV shows and movies. We watch them all the time, whether it be reality TV or a feature film or a big massive TV show, whatever. Movies will always be made. They will always need actors, period. So this is something that will never change. So if you feel that you need a break, that you need to take some time for yourself and just, like, I don't know, travel or recover, or maybe get your health back, or I don't know, try something new. Maybe you want to go back to school or do another career. That is totally fine. It is a big decision to make, and it is not an easy one. And I know this because I've done a break myself during a big peak of the industry year. And I had a lot of feelings about it, like a lot. I had a lot of feelings about it, but I felt a lot better because when I came back to the industry, I came back to the industry bigger, and I came back to the industry better because I had energy. I had energy to fight everything, and I had energy to fight for myself. And I had the energy to audition 3 times a week and send countless emails and put myself out there and do all the, all the hustling things you need to do in this industry. So a break sometimes is really needed, because to get back into it will make things 10 times better. So trust me. Time to get back into classes. I am a huge advocate for classes. I'm a very big firm believer on it. I know that they are expensive. Trust me, I'm very full aware of it. This year is going to be big. I think it's time for all of us to get back into class, because you don't want to get rusty and you don't want to kind of fall off the bandwagon completely. So you want to get back into that groove and figure out where you want to do classes. I've talked about this on my TikTok page. If you're not following, go follow me on TikTok. I do smaller versions of what I do on my YouTube. On my TikTok, I was talking about, someone asked me a question about classes in Toronto. And one thing that is really huge that a lot of people don't know about is auditing. Auditing is a form that you can ask in the class. You come in for free. Most of the time it's free. A few classes will ask you to do a $20 charge or something like that. That's totally normal. But 80% of the time it's free. It's a great way for you to come in, watch the class, see how the class is run. Do you vibe with the teacher? Do you like the way the class their environment is, the scenes, like what kind of students are in there, blah, blah, blah. You get to figure all that out without having to pay a full like 6-week or 4-week or 8-week course. It is a great way for you to take a look and see what classes are right for you and what you want to be doing. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to goals, I'm going to leave back my fear. That's something that I'm going to leave back. I really need to let go of the fear because I didn't have auditions and I really got into my head because of it. Started to kind of freak out a little bit, and I started freaking out. And when I did start freaking out, I was like, oh my God, like there's no auditions, yada, yada. Why am I freaking out? Nobody has auditions, not just me. Nobody does. So why am I sitting here and losing my mind and freaking out that I don't have auditions? The other thing is I have to understand that things are not in my control. This whole last year taught me that so much about this career is that you are never going to be in control of it. It is up and down and sideways and backwards and forwards and every little thing you could possibly think of. And you just have to grab onto the handles and hold on and just, you know, hope you don't fall off. And it's okay if you do, because I fell off a few times. You just get back on and that's fine. But you just want to make sure that you're holding on and that you understand that like this is just a roller coaster. It's a ride and you're happy to be on it, whether it's the bad, it's the good, it's the everything. Honeys, this is it for my goal setting video. I am so excited to hear what goals do we have going on? What are we thinking for this year? Please comment down below. Please share them with me. I'd love to hear them. You heard a few of mine. I have other ones that I'm keeping because I don't want to say them yet because they're in the works, but when they're going to be ready to be said, I will. But I love you. I am so excited to be back in the game. It feels, see, I took a break and I'm bigger and better and I'm ready to take on my YouTube videos. I love you. Happy 2024 and I'm going to see you all next Friday. Bye, honey.